Hi second years, I'm making this video to try and see if I can help you with your cup project. There seem to be some similar problems that you might all be facing, and they have to do with getting raised parts of the cup from a flat surface. So this is a shortened video because the kinds of things that I think you'd need would be quite a bit more involved in what I want, and I can show you in the time. But what I did is, instead of starting with a solid, I started off with a sketch. So let's just go into the sketch quickly. So I've drawn out my sketch here with some dimensions. These bits at the bottom just represent the bottom of the cup with some angles, but and I've given it a height of 120, but in fact I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because I know I'm going to do something later. You'll see, hold on, let's just pull that out. I'm going to do something later which makes the surfaces grow bigger, so I have to account for that increase. So these are just a sort of a guide. These aren't going to be used at all. I'm just going to show you the surface part of it. The rest you can do yourself. Okay, so that's my sketch. It's basically a spline which is as simple as possible. It has 1, 2, 3 control lines. You want to make it simple, don't make it complex. Alright, so then I've revolved that, so that's just a surface revolve, which is surfaces, where is it, surface, revolved surface, there it is there. So that's my basic cup shape. As I say, these bottom pieces here are going to disappear in the process. And then what I've done here is I've created 2 planes, so I'll show those planes. And they have dimensions, so that's 40 and this one is 49. So in other words, that's 40 from the base and that's another 49 from this one, so it's about 89 millimeters. And these are just rough guides. You have to decide it for yourself with your sketches where you want to put these. I would suggest that the first thing you do is you sketch out your cup in to scale in flat view with the sort of curves and things you want on it, just to get an idea of where you want to go, and then bring that in as a sketch, as a guide, as I've shown you before quite a while back. Right, so I've got the 2 planes. Then what you can do is type in here intersection, so intersection curve. I want an intersection between that plane and that surface. So okay, and another one between there and there. Okay, and the reason I want these curves is I can measure them. So you should see at the bottom here, it gives you diameter and a center, but in fact I want the circumference, the length, 332 millimeters. So if I take 332 millimeters, can't remember where the calculator is on this, let's just use Windows calculator. So that's 332 divided by 2, 166, right? So the top one, I'm only going to do the top one. I've put 2 in here because some of you have got 2 sets of curves. So what I'm showing you is that you would use this intersection curve to get the circumference and divide it by 2. There are other ways of doing it where you can divide the whole lot and then just get it pretty quick as well, but I'm going to shorten this. Right, so those are not for any kind of, that's just for information. I'm going to hide them. Then I'm going to go to a sketch. In fact, let me just backtrack a bit and use my front plane to put a sketch on. And so here is where the problem lies, in that if I take that that length of 166 and I draw a line across and I dimension this and make that 166. Okay, I'm just going to center this across the line. If I now draw a curve, so a spline of some sort, in fact, let's just make sure it's a style spline, much easier to deal with. And I'm going to start somewhere up here draw this straight. This is important, so that I've got a control point which is perpendicular. Then bring another one down at the bottom here, also straight, top. Quickly draw this out. So each time I've got a landing like that, which is horizontal. So these three should all be horizontal, as should these two. Just the control lines. I don't have to be horizontal, but this is just so that I can show you how easy it is to control this. And I can dimension this. I can go like from here to here. Right, if I want to control it, I can do that sort of thing. That you can do if you want. Now, the problem is I have to get a line which looks like this, a wavy line, to wrap around this surface, which is very difficult to get to do in Solidworks. So you pretty much have to eyeball it. So you have to take this curve, copy it. So I've control copied, right? So that's the length of it, and that's basically what you would look at in a flattened version. Go out. So, and what I've done here, I'm not going to repeat the process, but you can see what I've done. Edit the sketch. So let's just hide that one. Not going to do it. Alright, so I've taken that sketch, that one there, the 166. You can see it's got the same cadence. It's got 1, 2, 3 high points and 2 low points. 3 high points, 2 low points, and I've squashed it. Not in the middle. You can see it's similar to this one in the middle, but on the ends I've squashed it so that it's foreshortened. It's a kind of a visualization exercise, and I've had to make this little bit here go very, very. There's a very small amount of curvature because that's going to wrap around the cup. You'll see shortly what I've done there. So those are both like that, and I can control those using these points. And this line, by the way, is linked to this one on the other end so that they stay at the same height, because I want the curve to meet itself again on the other end. And if they aren't collinear, then that won't happen. Like if that wasn't collinear, if this were lower than the other one, there'd be a mismatch. Right, so then I've offset this curve by 3 millimeters. And then I've used that offset curve to replicate this curve and then do something similar. You can see it's not matching exactly, but it's deliberate, because when it deforms, as you'll see shortly, it doesn't deform in a sort of a uniform fashion. So I've created these two lines, which are really like a foreshortening of this big one, and I've had to eyeball it. I have attached the ends of the lines to the edge. Here you can see there's a connection there. There's a coincident and another coincident, and on the other side the same. And that's to make sure that they always stick within the boundaries of this curve. So I'm showing you a simplified version. To show you the real one, we'd have to use Rhino, or we'd have to do some really complex stuff in Solidworks. So from here, there's my sketch. I've actually used it as a split line. So delete that quickly. Should I delete it? Yes, okay, let me delete it. No, I can't. What you do is you take the sketch and then you go up to this command here, curves, and you say split line. And when you get split line, you can just select the whole body, and that's that one there. And it'll split it into the 3 curves, the 3 sections. So that's the result. I've got 1, 2, and 3. Alright, so now I have a surface which is 3 separate surfaces. Let's just hide this. Right, so the next thing I can do is I can take each one of these surfaces and I can offset them at different intervals. Now some of you have got like 3 layers here. I'm only doing 1 layer, 1 to 2 layers. You can repeat the process for yourself, or create the curves all in one shot and then just offset one by one. You'll see how to do it. So offset surfaces, the first one I've done, I've just selected the offset surface command, which you can find up here. No, it isn't there. It is somewhere here. There it is, offset surface. Okay, so you click on this, you select a surface, and you tell it how much you want it to offset by, and you can go inside or outside. So that's 4.5. So that's just to show you how to do it, but I've done it here. This first one I've offset by 7 millimeters, and then I've chosen this lower one and I've offset that one by 4.5 mils. So now I've got a way of connecting these two, and then I've used a command called boundary surface. So you can see here that bit flattens out there because my sketch up here, not that one, this one here, I haven't squeezed it enough to get this to curve exactly nicely. There are ways of doing it, but it would take me too long to show you. So then boundary surface is, let's go back, just show you how to do that. You select boundary surface, you select the edge of the one surface and the edge of the other one in similar places, because what it's going to give you is these control features, and you want those to line up, so you can just drag them. You want them to line up perpendicular to one another as much as possible. So if one's over here, you're going to have huge problems. So try and get them to line up like that, and that's all you do, and you say yes. And so now you have 1, 2, 3 surfaces which you can knit together. So I'm going to remove that one there because I've done it already, right? And it's linked. So there's that one there. And then I've created at the bottom here a surface plane, which is very simple. I'll do that for you again as well. So you just go to planar surface, and you know if that's going to be flat, you just add that in there. Right, so that's a surface. It doesn't show because this piece here needs to be hidden. There we go, you can see that one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would obviously create more steps if you wanted to, or fewer, and you could make this more complex. For now I'm showing you the simplest method just to get you going. So I'm going to delete that because I've got it already. There it is, and then I've just knitted the surfaces together. So I've gathered all these outer surfaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'd have more if you wanted to, and I've knitted them together. So knit surface, the command is here, and then from here you can do one of two things. One, you could, let's just show you the one. I'm going to go to front plane, and I'm going to put a sketch on it, and I'm going to use my other sketch, my initial sketch, and I'm going to say offset that one. Now it's down here by I'm not sure what your wall thickness would be, but I'm going to just use 2.5. I think I have to select chain. Doesn't seem to want to do it. Okay, never mind. So I could just use, what I'm going to do here is quickly use a style spline. I'm going to, oops, to lock that in place. I'm going to echo where I see these points, something like this. Okay, now you can adjust this. I'm not going to adjust it now because I don't have time. That's basically what you could do, and then we just get those two to match. I think that would be important. Try and get those two. There we go. Okay, so once you've got that, make sure you've got a center line of some sort. Exit that, and then I would then revolve another surface. So I go back to surfaces and revolve surface, and that's what I do. So that's one, and then you could just join these two by putting a surface between, I think it's called filled surface, I might be wrong, between there and there. Not sure if that's going to do it. Let's just see. Yes, it has. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. If your inner surface needs to be smooth, not stepped, so that you could obviously adjust this to. You could go to this curve here, for instance, this piece here, and you could bring this right across, for instance, to around there. Okay, if I exit that. Okay, so now you've got a much thinner lip. You could drag it much closer if you wanted to, and then join them together. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. I'm going to suppress that because I don't need it. And then the other way is to thicken it. So thicken it is you just take the surface that you've got and you say surface thicken here. Okay, and then you decide which way you want to go, inside or outside or both ways. So that's inside by 2.5 mil. No surface selected. Okay, so I need to select a surface, which is this one here. And so that'll actually give you, I want to hide this one. That'll give you a stepped surface, so that'll echo what you've got on the outside. So now you actually have a solid. Let's have a look. Here we go. Here's your thickened solid. It's a solid body, and you can add your foot onto that and put radii on those curves and do whatever else you want to do from here. So from here it's fairly simple. If I put a 2 mil radius on like that. Right. Okay. So any questions, you're welcome to ask me, but that's the basic method. SIPO, for instance, had a map idea. The map idea would be very similar. You would draw half the map. You just have to split the surface in half first. So if you don't know how to do that, let me know. I'll see if I can make another quick video. That's it. I hope this helps. Cheers.